Here is a comprehensive, fact-based report on major Ohio government actions and related activities for Tuesday, July 15, 2025, based on the latest available information. Ohio Legislative and Executive Actions. Mini-WARN Act enactment. On July 15, 2025, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed Ohio House Bill No. 96 as part of the state's operating budget. While most of the bill pertains to fiscal year 2026 to 2027 appropriations, it also introduced a significant new labor law. Ohio Revised Code Chapter 413.31, a state mini-WARN, Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. This provision, which goes into effect on September 29, 2025, requires employers to provide 60 days advance notice to employees, unions, the state, and local government officials before a plant closing or mass layoff. The law closely mirrors the Federal WARN Act, but adds state-specific notice content requirements. Notably, the law specifies that it does not create a different standard than federal law, and adopts the federal definitions for key terms such as employer, mass layoff, and plant closing. 1. SNAP Food Assistance Program. Changes Ohio's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, will now require the state to cover benefit expenses for the first time, following changes in the federal spending bill. This marks a shift in funding responsibility from the federal government to the state, though additional details on the fiscal impact and implementation timeline are not specified in the available reports. 3. Education policy updates. The Ohio biennial budget, as finally passed, removed a provision that would have required independent and private colleges to comply with Senate Bill 1, a higher education overhaul that eliminated state-funded diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs in order for their students to be eligible for state-sponsored scholarships. This change means such institutions are now exempt from this compliance requirement, preserving their access to state scholarship funds. Public events and official activities. State Highway Patrol deployment. 20 members of the Ohio State Highway Patrol's mobile field force were deployed to Texas to assist with rescue and recovery efforts following catastrophic flooding of the Guadalupe River, which rose over 26 feet in an hour earlier in July. This interstate deployment reflects Ohio's participation in national disaster response efforts, though the exact date of deployment is not specified in the available information. The report was published July 15, so the action is current to that date. Legal developments. A defamation lawsuit in Cambridge, Ohio, is the first to test the state's new anti-SLAPP strategic lawsuit against public participation law. This law allows defendants to seek a fast-track judicial review to dismiss lawsuits aimed at silencing free speech. The case's outcome could set important precedent for First Amendment protections in Ohio. An ongoing legal dispute over restrictions on which healthcare professionals may prescribe or provide drugs that induce abortions is likely headed to the Ohio Supreme Court, indicating significant pending litigation in the realm of reproductive rights and healthcare regulation. Enforcement and administrative actions. No major new enforcement actions by Ohio state agencies on July 15, 2025, are detailed in the available reports. The focus appears to be on legislative enactments and policy announcements, rather than specific regulatory or enforcement activities. Key provisions and officials. Governor Mike DeWine signed the budget bill containing the Mini-WARN Act. 1. Ohio State Highway Patrol coordinated the deployment of personnel to Texas. 3. Ohio Department of Job and Family Services will oversee the new state-funded SNAP requirements. 3. Notable absences. There are no reports of significant federal legislative activities directly impacting Ohio on July 15, 2025, in the available information. All major actions were at the state level. No major public events, such as press conferences or public hearings, are specifically reported for this date. Summary table. Major Ohio government actions, July 15, 2025. Action type, details, agency official, effective date status. IS. Table introductions action, details. Mini-WARN Act, enacted, 60-day notice for mass layoffs, plant closings. Governor DeWine. Effective Sep 29, 2025. Policy change. Ohio assumes SNAP benefit expenses for first time. ODJFS. Pending implementation. Education policy. Independent private colleges exempt from SB 1 DEI compliance for state scholarships. General Assembly. Immediate. Public safety. OSHP Mobile Field Force deployed to Texas for flood recovery. Ohio State Highway Patrol. July 2025. Legal. First test of Ohio anti-SLAPP law in defamation case. Abortion drug restriction case heads to Supreme Court. Ohio courts. Ongoing. This report synthesizes the most significant Ohio government